yourself at all times. Any questions from the challenger, Chief Second? Let's get it on!
He finished Mike Tyson in seconds. This fight is scary to watch. Imagine facing the unstoppable Iron Mike Tyson at the peak of his career in the 1980s. He had it all: power, celebrity, and 3 world heavyweight titles. But what if we told you that one boxer beat all odds and defeated Tyson in seconds? This fight is an emotional roller coaster with twists and turns you won't believe. Join us as we delve into the shocking story of how an underdog boxer faced off against the baddest man on the planet, leaving spectators terrified. Tyson was a superstar back then, reigning as the undefeated and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, holding the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. Despite some controversy surrounding him, like his tumultuous relationship with Robin Givens, contractual disputes, and changing trainers, Tyson was still a force to be reckoned with inside the ring. Everyone expected Tyson to use this bout as a warm-up before facing Evander Holyfield, who was the undefeated #1 heavyweight contender and was watching at ringside. Tyson was so dominant that he was even considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, which is pretty rare for heavyweights. On the other hand, Buster Douglas was ranked as the #7 heavyweight by Ring Magazine. He had a mixed record in his pro boxing career until that point, and his previous title fight ended in a TKO loss in the 10th round. However, a series of 6 consecutive wins earned him a shot at Tyson's titles. Leading up to the fight, Douglas faced personal hardships, including the tragic loss of his mother just 23 days before the big match. On top of that, the mother of his son was dealing with a severe kidney ailment, and he himself caught the flu the day before the fight. The HBO boxing analysts Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley were actually expecting another super quick 90-second knockout, just like Tyson's previous bouts. They even joked around comparing their pets. Tyson had a tough-sounding white pit bull named Duran after his idol Roberto Duran, while Douglas had a beagle named Shakespeare. Quite the contrast, right? Right from the start, it was clear that Buster Douglas was not backing down one bit. He surprised everyone with his agility and fearlessness, throwing punches whenever he saw an opportunity to attack Tyson. He relied on his quick and accurate jab to keep Tyson at bay and prevent him from getting inside, where Tyson was most dangerous. When Tyson tried to close the distance, Douglas either tied him up, moved away, or countered with a flurry of punches. In those early moments, Douglas showed more agility than Tyson and landed more punches in their exchanges. He even finished the second round with a solid uppercut to Tyson's chin. As the fight progressed, Tyson managed to land a punishing left to Douglas's body, making him take a moment to glance at his corner. However, the following rounds were still dominated by Douglas, who effectively used his jab and right hand to keep Tyson at bay. Tyson, on the other hand, seemed to be having an off day in the ring, as even legendary boxer Sugar Ray Leonard, who was doing commentary ringside, noticed that things just weren't clicking for Tyson. Douglas continued to dominate through the middle rounds, and although Tyson landed a few of his signature uppercuts, he was clearly struggling. Douglas's jab started to take a toll, causing Tyson's left eye to swell, impairing his vision. Tyson's cornermen were caught off guard and unprepared for the situation, as they had not brought standard equipment like ice packs, being overly confident that Tyson would easily win. Instead, they improvised with a rubber glove filled with ice water to apply to Tyson's eye between rounds. At one point during the treatment, a chain from a cornerman's identification badge accidentally hurt Tyson's injured eye, adding to the confusion and panic in the corner. Despite Tyson's struggles and inability to execute his game plan effectively, his corner kept giving him the same advice between rounds: move his head, use the jab, and deliver a right hand. In the 8th round, in which Douglas was dominating until the last few seconds, HBO's Larry Merchant observed that Douglas was posing questions to Tyson that he had never faced before in his career. The fight was getting intense, and it seemed like Tyson needed to come back strong in the later rounds to turn things around. With just 10 seconds left in the 8th round, Tyson, who had been backed against the ropes, managed to land a massive right uppercut that sent Douglas sprawling to the canvas. The timekeeper began the count as soon as Douglas's backside touched the canvas, but the referee's count was said to be 2 beats behind. Douglas got up at the referee's count of 9, and luckily for him, the bell rang, ending the round. You could see Douglas showing his frustration by pounding his fist on the mat. In the 9th round, Tyson came out guns blazing, trying to finish the fight and retain his title. He hoped that Douglas was still hurt from the previous knockdown. However, Douglas showed incredible resilience and fought off Tyson's aggressive attacks. He even managed to close Tyson's eyes completely. Both fighters traded punches, and Douglas landed a powerful 4-punch combination that staggered Tyson and pushed him back to the ropes. It was a fierce round, but Tyson managed to hang on by a thread. By the 10th round, Tyson was seriously worn down from the relentless punishment he had absorbed throughout the fight. As Tyson moved forward, Douglas measured him with some jabs before landing a stunning uppercut that snapped Tyson's head back, halting him in his tracks. Douglas quickly followed up with 4 more punches to Tyson's head. and down he went for the first time in his career. It was a moment that will forever be etched in boxing history. Tyson fumbling for his mouthpiece on the canvas before attempting to rise to his feet. But it was all too much, and the referee, Octavio Meyran, counted him out. With that, Buster Douglas accomplished the unthinkable, becoming the new, undisputed heavyweight champion and pulling off one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. The official scorecards up to that point were 87-86 for Tyson, 86-86, and 88-83 for Douglas. Larry Merchant, one of the HBO boxing analysts, had his own take on what led to Tyson's shocking knockout loss. He believed that the key factor was the absence of Kevin Rooney in Tyson's corner. Despite their split, Rooney still rooted for Tyson every time he watched him fight. Merchant compared Rooney's importance to Tyson to the role of Angelo Dundee with Muhammad Ali. He speculated that with Rooney in his corner, Tyson would have managed to weather the storm, just like he did in the Tucker fight when he was rocked in the first round but came back strong with Rooney's guidance to outbox his opponent. The odds were stacked heavily against Buster Douglas, with him being a 42-1 underdog in the fight, yet he managed to earn $1.3 million for a stunning victory, while Mike Tyson, the defeated champion, received $6 million. Immediately after the fight, Tyson's camp, led by Don King, protested the result, claiming that Douglas had benefited from a long count by the referee. The WBA and WBC initially agreed with the protest and suspended the recognition of Douglas as the champion, although the IBF supported the validity of the result. However, the decision was met with a public outcry, and various boxing commissions demanded that Douglas be recognized as a legitimate champion. Eventually, 4 days after the fight, the protest was withdrawn, and Douglas's victory was officially acknowledged. Despite Douglas's dominant and inspired performance, a significant number of boxing fans still saw the fight's outcome as an unusual occurrence, leading to interest in a potential rematch. Don King was reportedly in negotiations for Tyson's next fight, which was initially planned to be in Berlin against former champion Greg Page, who had previously knocked Tyson down during a sparring session 3 weeks before the Douglas fight. Additionally, there were discussions about a possible Mike Tyson versus George Foreman fight promoted by the Sultan of Brunei, but these plans were shelved. Ultimately, a rematch between Tyson and Douglas never materialized, and Douglas's first title defense was against the #1 contender Evander Holyfield. However, Douglas entered the bout overweight and was knocked out by Holyfield in the 3rd round. After this defeat, he retired from boxing, but later made a comeback after recovering from a diabetic coma. He won a few fights against lesser-known opponents before retiring for good in 1999. Throughout the 90s, there were rumors circulating about a potential rematch between Tyson and Douglas, but it never came to fruition, and they never faced each other again in the ring. After the Douglas fight, Mike Tyson continued his boxing career, but it was marked by legal troubles and ups and downs in the ring. He fought 4 more times before being convicted of raping Desiree Washington, a beauty pageant contestant, in 1991. Following his release from prison in 1995, Tyson managed to regain the WBA and WBC world titles, but lost them to Evander Holyfield and was never again able to become a world champion. He continued to fight sporadically for another decade and faced another title challenge against Lennox Lewis in 2002, which he lost. Tyson eventually retired from boxing in 2005 after suffering consecutive losses against lesser-known opponents. Buster Douglas, on the other hand, became a legendary figure in sports history, known for defying the odds and pulling off one of the greatest upsets ever. Thanks for watching. Which part of the fight was the most intriguing to you? Share your ideas in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting boxing stories and sports analysis.